Hey y'all, welcome to the channel. Today we're checking out British versus American film. Why are they so different? Which is better? I don't think either one's better, they're just different.
Have you ever wondered why American networks feel the need to completely remake multitudes of British shows, despite the fact that we're very similar in the manner of which we speak? But usually they never remake popular Asian television despite the potent cultural differences that far outweigh the Brits comparatively. There is not a doubt in my mind that an airing of the original In-Betweeners would have been far more appreciated than the MTV remake. Now this video won't be exclusively based upon comparing American counterparts to their British originators, though there will absolutely be some of that, but rather the distinction between the comedy of existence as a whole via the two fascinatingly different cultures.
Seen a few videos about this already. I don't know what this guy's gonna say, but I think a large part of the reason that the British films get remade into American versions is simply because sometimes the accents are difficult to understand. Some of those northern area accents are kind of difficult to understand for the average American. Also, we love happy endings, and Americans like characters that are more hopeful. British audiences like characters that get shit on.
Fittingly with openings and introductions.
Yankee Doodle came to town a-riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni.
Let's start off by comparing some intros, starting with one of my favorite dramas ever made, Skins.
Okay, so this is all based on the intros? Or maybe this is just part one. We're looking at intros. Okay, got it. Sorry to stop it.
Off by comparing some intros, starting with one of my favorite dramas ever made, Skins. I'd like to point out the editing speed, starting off at a slower pace, much like the show, and escalating to an obsessive and unnerving degree, much like the show. Whilst the music alone has somewhat of a difficult tone to analyze alone, when combined with the visuals it has a very specific and distinct tone of drifting apart, old memories, bittersweet experiences.
Okay.
In the American drama 13 Reasons Why, the intro is notably more theatrical, with original footage separate from the show itself, and a much clearer usage of music that notifies you that you aren't about to watch something lighthearted. The final title card for Skins is also much humbler than 13 Reasons, which is absolutely indicative of the humbleness that comes with British TV. The majority of British TV shows are representative of the working class. Winston Ingram from what's probably the most popular Scottish show, Still Game, is a pensioner. The This Is England franchise is based upon the skinhead working class of the 1980s. You've got the Welsh High Hope, the aforementioned Bristolian Skins, The Office of course, and a multitude of others. The majority of British television will establish a working class background and living conditions at the beginning of the show. This juxtaposes the typicality of big suburban and American households in American TV.
I guess I never realized that. So he's saying that most British media is based on working class British people.
This juxtaposes the typicality of big suburban and American households in American TV and sitcoms, shows like BoJack Horseman, Always Sunny, Gossip Girl, Friends, and Fresh Prince. Of course, there are exceptions like Raising Hope and The Middle, but it's safe to say that British television is much more grounded in reality, at least for most people.
British television is much more grounded in reality. Okay, I could see that. I think he's right. 6 out of 10 people in Britain today consider themselves working class because they believe their family background determines class rather than occupation or whether they went to university, according to University of Oxford research, blah, 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 blah. Okay.
Speaking of Bel Air, is there a more American intro theme? I mean, if we compare it to a British intro of a similar era, like the 4th season of Blackadder for example, the difference really is night and day. And I don't mean racially, just to be clear. To truly solidify this point, let's compare The Office to its American remake. The British Office is slow, groggy, grey, casually scored. The US Office is clearly much happier and cheerful, edited enthusiastically, with electric guitars, uplifting pianos. There is so much more to go through, but since we started with beginnings, let's move on to endings. American film is openly hopeful, whereas British film is openly tragic, and nowhere is this clearer than in the endings of episodes. In the American Office, the entire show, spoiler alert by the way, ends with Michael Scott quitting his job and successfully getting with his love interest, Holly. In the British Fleabag, the show ends with the total destruction of a romance that the series was built upon, and the UK Office ends with David Brent basically begging for his job back.
Ricky Gervais might be a really good actor. I knew he was a good performer, but I think he could do drama if he wanted to. He has done drama. I mean, he's done stuff that are comedies, but with dramatic moments. This is one of them. He He's done a few of those now that I think of it. What am I talking about? Why did I stop this?
The first episode of the UK In-Betweeners ends with everybody being kicked out of the pub and our main character's life being threatened by the school bully. American sitcoms, however, notoriously tend to end episodes with everything having been wrapped up, and a lack of acknowledgement of the episode's events in the preceding ones. This is true to such an extent that BoJack Horseman regularly ended episodes in tragedy and kept the Hollywood sign incomplete consistently in a direct attempt to deviate from American sitcom norms, and by doing so, follows closer to a British style of storytelling. Despite all this, what I think the most important and interesting part of this conversation is, can be surmised in one word. Why? At its very core, American film usually acts as a form of escapism. It's a method of feel-good fictional content in the non-fictional, fucked-up world. And it's this type of American optimism that blew up animation in the 40s amongst the Second World War. Characters like Bugs Bunny and Donald Duck became the cultural juggernauts that they are today, having aided civilians in escaping the harsh realities of war. British film is grounded in a more realistic dullness. For whatever reason, the Brits have a strong impending sense of doom, and a much more objective approach to life, boasting a hard-hearted pragmatism that isn't as formidable across the pond. One difference is the size of the teams. Everything is bigger in America, and there are dedicated, almost bureaucratic layers of writers, producers, directors, actors, etc. The scale tends to be so much heavier, whereas in Britain, teams tend to be so small that lead actors also double as writers as well. Fleabag, which I've talked about extensively on this channel, being my favourite example.
I've also recently learned that most British TV shows are written by a single person, whereas a lot of American shows have writers' rooms where there's, a group of people writing, bounce ideas off of each other. It's a different approach. Like he's saying, more people, just in the writers' room, probably in all of production.
Which I've talked about extensively on this channel, being my favourite example.
TV thing? Oh, right.
In the UK, we have something called a TV license, which is used to fund non-profit companies like the BBC and keep them running. The reason for this is that it prevents companies from creating content purely for profit and focus more so on genuine quality. It's essentially a yearly tax of 160 quid that's responsible for the lack of advertisements on the BBC. This is important because it leads to smaller budgeting. Even for shows that aren't funded by the TV license, budgeting is lackluster purely because advertisers will usually favour the bigger, more powerful, and populated US of A, baby. It's also much more common to film on location for British shows. It's very rare that you find big dramatic sets. Britain is such a small yet beautiful area full of creative potential, and if you take the train you can get literally anywhere in a couple of hours. As a result of all of these reasons, British shows are also by and large much shorter than our transatlantic cousins, both in terms of episode runtime and actual production. Obviously there are exceptions like Coronation Street, which seems to have been going on for centuries at this point, but usually it is the case. The average British show is 6 episodes a series and 20 to 25 minutes an episode, particularly when they're comedies like Peep Show, whereas the average American show, such as Euphoria, is 8 episodes and about an hour per episode. But here's
I'll say usually an American season is 10 or 12 episodes. Sitcoms, it used to be like 22 episodes. But now shows on cable TV or streaming, they're doing limited series, which are sometimes 6 episodes a season. So I feel like that's changing in America. Also, Euphoria is amazing. Check it out if you haven't.
But here's the biggest difference between the two industries. It's control. British TV is very creator-driven, and the writers have a lot of control over the property, a power that is rarely seen in the States. Because of this, American networks have a habit of continuing shows until they become horrendous to watch and stop making money. Even if an entire team want to cancel a show, the decision is ultimately in the network's hands. If they want it to continue, they will find a way, even if it means finding a different team. And I suspect that shows such as 13 Reasons Why and Riverdale fell victim to this. You'd never see shows that bad go on for so long over here. Not in a million years.
Oh fuck! Wanna fit in. Have you ever seen me without
It's very difficult to conclude which of the two industries leads to a superior production of media, and whilst I can't speak for the American audience, I don't know many Britons who prefer American television, and so perhaps it really is as simple as being a cultural difference. Maybe our methods of comedy are simply too different to succeed across the pond, but I'm a big fan of many American comedies, and I know many Americans who adore British humour. I suppose I just wish companies like MTV would stop recreating British shows and just start airing the originals in their country.
We can't understand your accents.
American Americans being stupid is just a stereotype at the end of the day, and whilst it may be tougher for them to appreciate all of the references and intricacies that come with our shows, it's just a different culture, what do you expect? I think you'd be pleasantly surprised at how much they enjoy and understand them. For balance, I will point out that we are hosts to a lot of utter shit. I mean, heck, as of right now, my most popular video is me absolutely decimating the most recent show of supposed English comedy legend Ricky Gervais. I would watch almost any American comedy over Afterlife any day. And let's not kid ourselves, some of the media that comes out of America is nothing short of exceptional. The majority of my favorites I've already mentioned, and I've ignored a lot of the animation. South Park, BoJack, Simpsons, Rick and Morty, Futurama. There's no denying that American animation shits on ours. And those are only the adult ones. I really could go on for hours and hours, but I'll stop now, so expect more videos of a similar vein to this one sometime in the future. For now, though, we're done here, so cheers for watching if you made it this far, I guess.
Those people are just burning flags they already bought. We got your money. We don't need the flag. This was interesting. Yeah, I don't think one's better than the other. Honestly, I think they're just a little different. I really think it comes down to the accents sometimes. We just can't understand. I think another aspect of it, too, is job security for studio executives. They see a British show that's really good. They don't want to just pay licensing fees and play it in America. They want job security. They want to put their finger in it and stir it up so they can say, look what I did. Look what I did. I'm so creative. But when really they're just stealing ideas from British people. Gotta justify their paycheck, you know? Can you imagine if America tried to make an American version of Monty Python? I feel like British culture is so ingrained in that sense of humor and that the material and the premises that they came up with that it just wouldn't work. It probably has been tried, but maybe Saturday Night Live was an attempt at that, I think. If they're asking for a group of comedians that came on TV and changed it forever, then the original Saturday Night Live cast would be close. I know of a few of the Pythons were famous-ish before Flying Circus, but Circus made Cleese and Idol household names, just as Saturday Night Live did for Chevy Chase and Bill Murray, and for all of them it was a springboard into much bigger things. Yeah, I guess SNL's probably the closest thing to Monty Python, but it's not the same at all. In another video I recently watched, they were comparing Americans and Brits, and they mentioned that there's an A/B test. So a long time ago, when British people first started coming to America, people in Britain were offered the chance to go to this new crazy world where they didn't really have a lot of information about it. The people who were risk takers said, yeah, let's go, let's do it, let's see what's out there. And the people who were more risk averse said, no way, why would I want to do that? I'm staying right here, I'm staying home. And over time, the risk takers did it and made other risk takers. That risk-taking gene got passed down, and in Britain, those risk-averse people did it, and that gene carried on. Not that there's a risk gene. I don't know. Probably not, but you know what I'm saying. That mindset. Not to say there aren't risk takers in Britain or risk-averse people in America. Sure. I think really what it comes down to is money. Studios just want to make that money. They want to optimize it for American audiences because that's who's buying their comes down to money, American advertisers, and how they think American audiences are going to respond to it. How it's going to make them feel while they're watching commercials for American products. Well, thank you all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Later.